Today we are reporting from David Lanier's Garage Mahal. David's special guest is Julian Hicklin, and the subject is, What is a Jury's Duty? John Jay, the first Chief Justice, said this to jurors: You have a right to take it upon yourselves to judge both facts and law. Julian Hicklin has been arrested 35 times for passing out information.
Hi, I'm Julian Hicklin. I'm here. We're distributing literature about the fully informed jury. Many people don't know what their jury rights are. The judge instructs the jury that it must uphold the law as he gives it to them. The judge is lying. The jury must judge the law as well as the facts. Juries were instituted to protect the citizens against the tyranny of government. It is not the duty of the jury to uphold the law. It is the duty of the jury to see that justice is done.
We live in a world where the elites do not face the same justice as the masses.
Specified on my emails, either sent or received, and I want to respond.
Use the right term there. Use marked. Yeah, that's the one. That's
well,
what you use the revised statement there.
Well, Congressman, there was a lot of confusion because many Americans have no idea how the classification process works, and therefore I wanted to make it clear that there is a system within our government, certainly within the State Department, where materials that is thought to be classified is marked such so that people have the opportunity to know how they are supposed to be handling those materials, and that's why it became clearer, I believe, to say that nothing was marked classified at the time I sent or received it.
All right. All I know is that's different what you said, Mark.
From the group of 30,000 emails returned to the State Department in 2014, 110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received. 8 of those chains contained information that was top secret at the time they were sent. 36 of those chains contained secret information at the time, and 8 contained confidential information at the time.
Hillary Clinton committed perjury under oath to Congress, yet she was not prosecuted.
So, a college friend of mine named Wendy Long was running for the U.S. Senate in New York. And I had given her a check for $10,000, which is the maximum allowable campaign finance limit. As the campaign progressed, her campaign was in terrible trouble. She was way behind in the polls. She was imploring me to help her in other ways, serve on a fundraising committee, speak here, do this, do that. So I got a cockamamie idea in my head. I said, she needs a little more money. I asked 2 of my friends to write her a check for $10,000, and I said I would reimburse them. That was my crime. I exceeded the campaign finance limits, and as a result, I was prosecuted to the hilt for it.
Leading up to the fact that you began to realize that you were in a lot bigger trouble than you deserved to be in, and that something else is going on here. Now, when you requested from the FBI why you were singled out, they apparently replied to you that it was a result of just a routine investigation into campaign finance irregularities. Can you tell me how many other people this routine investigation into irregularities produced in this giant dragnet that we undertake all the time?
Well, actually, none. Or I should say one, just me.
Imagine my surprise.
This was the FBI director had said this was a routine review, his phrase. But the routine review apparently yielded a single offender. And moreover, when I spoke to legal authorities, including Alan Dershowitz, Alan, who's a liberal, said to me, he goes, Dinesh, look, I'm very familiar with this territory. He goes, what you did is quite common, as a quite common election violation. It happens in law firms. People do it all the time. And he goes, and so in general, there's a procedure for dealing with it as a civil matter, not a criminal matter. So he goes, I'm very sorry to say that you are being targeted by a very ruthless prosecution machine, which includes this Indian fellow, Preet Bharara, from the Southern District of New York, and then Eric Holder at the Justice Department, and Obama himself.
The Equal Protection Clause is part of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The clause, which took effect in 1868, provides that no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws.
Well, it actually started, apparently, I found out in a recent book, several thousand years ago, but for all practical purposes, it started in the late 1600s, and the person who was involved was William Penn and William Mead, the two people, and they were Quakers living in London, and they reported, were trying to convert people to Quakerism, and it was against the law of the religion of England. There was no doubt about it, and they were brought to court. And there was no denial of the facts. The thing was clear, and the jury brought in a not guilty result. At which point the judge locked them up for 3 weeks until they would change their minds. They refused to. And finally, a higher court released them. I don't know what became of William Mead, but William Penn got to the Western Hemisphere very fast, formed the state of Pennsylvania, which is named after him, and Pennsylvania is one of the 2 states where there's a lot of things that most states have where the laws aren't required. And one thing is marriage. And I was at Penn State, married a graduate student of ours, and then this was the whole wedding. We are now one. And it was over. 2 guys signed the document, sent it to the state office, and that was it. And this was the sort of Quaker belief that Penn pushed, and that was the beginning of the situation. It actually happened in England, but it was apparently an important American individual who became an important American individual who did it. It's the second, and this is of course how we got freedom of religion. The second case was won by Peter Zenger in, I think, 1635, or 1735, when he was a publisher of a newspaper, and he kept attacking the king, who was still a colony. He was the subject, the whole American thing was the subject of the King of England, and so he was brought to prison, brought to a court, and there's no doubt he broke the law. He offended the rulers of the king, but again, the jury refused to convict him. And that's how we got freedom of the press. Let's see. We proceeded on. I think the next important case in the United States occurred in the 1850s when the slaves were escaping from their southern masters and being up north through the, what did they call it, some sort of railroad train? Yeah, underground railroad, sending them to Canada. And of course, these slaves were actually the property of the people that was that owned them. So that, of course, these people were committing theft. And they were ordered to return the slaves, and they refused to do so. They shipped them out of the country to Canada. And they were tried in court, and the court ruled not guilty. And that's the beginning of how the slaves in this country were freed. When Lincoln took office, he wasn't really interested in the slave situation particularly. His concern was keeping the Union together. And he only got interested in freeing the slaves when he realized the only way they were going to win the war was to get the slaves to come to the northern side. And so he issued the Emancipation Proclamation. Now, I'm not trying to say that Lincoln didn't believe in it, but it only became his policy when it became useful for winning the Civil War.
You know, if I could fortify that, he didn't free the slaves in the northern states with the Emancipation Proclamation. Only the ones in the south.
That's right. So it was strictly a war decision.
Absolutely.
Michigan wasn't even in that war until after Tennessee invaded Pennsylvania.
Okay,
Michigan was not in the Civil
but the
War.
point is, you know, Lincoln is given the glory for freeing the slaves, and in a sense, of course, in the end, he's the one who got them all freed. But he's not really the one that had any interest in doing it for the benefit of the slaves. That was the jury who did it. Okay, all right. Anyway, we all agree that the jury nullification by jury had something to do with the slavery movement. It had some effect. It had some effect. All right, then things moved along, but what happened after that was in 1893 there was a trial called that the U.S. Supreme Court put out. It referred to as the Sparf trial. Who was, I guess, the guy who found it.
Yeah, Spark in the United States.
Yeah. And the court said, the actual, these aren't the actual words, but the statement is that it is not necessary for the jury to be informed of the right to nullify the law. That's what the decision said. Every case after that said, the Supreme Court has said that jury nullification is illegal. Of course, it didn't say that at all. It just said that the jury didn't have to be informed, which it seems to me is bad enough that a jury is not supposed to be informed of what it can do. But the point is, it didn't cancel jury nullification. It just said, keep it secret.
Right.
That's basically what the Sparf decision for years was referred to as the law which got rid of nullification by jury. You notice I don't say jury nullification. I say nullification by jury, and this is because of a recent book that was just published a few months ago, where the author pointed out that jury nullification means you're nullifying the jury, whereas nullification by jury means the jury is doing the nullification.
Good point.
So now, I always refer to this as nullification by jury, never as jury nullification. And if you think about it, they have exactly the opposite meanings.
And if you think about it, the way courts are operated in this country today, there's a whole lot of nullification of the jury going on.
Okay. So anyway, that for quite a while stopped this nullification by jury business, because there was always a decision in the Sparf course, which I've read case after case, and it always says that the Sparf course declared it unconstitutional. I mean, without a lie if you read the actual statement, but the truth never had much to do with the law, in my experience.